It began as any other morning. Glittering sunbeams broke across an opulent mansion, where the world knew him as El Millonario, a man whose success was measured in skyscrapers, bank ledgers, and luxury cars glinting like polished armor. Yet behind the tailored suits and steel-edged gaze, there was a restlessness, a gnawing question he never quite voiced. What have I really given back to the world? On a day like any other, he made a decision that would ripple through lives far beyond his own. He would visit unannounced, the home of Rosa, his trusted employee, the woman who every morning cleaned his office, arranged his important documents, and greeted him with a smile that seemed too warm for the cold. Corporate world he dominated. But that morning, as he stepped into a humble neighborhood, where cracked sidewalks bore the imprint of worn sandals and laundry, danced on thin wires like pennants of hope, he felt something shift inside. There, through the narrow lane, he heard the soft hum of a young voice. Not a radio, not a TV, but the singing of a little girl whose words carried a blend of joy and sorrow. As he drew closer, he saw her wiping the concrete floor with a rag far too small for the heavy task. Tiny hands scuffed and worn, her posture determined as though every speck of dust she removed was a debt she owed the world. The sight held him spellbound. This child, barely taller than a broomstick, worked with the quiet resolve many of his boardroom executives never knew. "Why are you cleaning here?" he asked, voice hushed with disbelief. Her gaze lifted, eyes sparkling with both innocence and strength, and she said in a voice that struck his heart, "I help my mama. We have to clean here so we can eat." In that moment, the buzz of his luxury life, the Ferraris and penthouse views, dimmed into a distant hum, and he realized that wealth measured in dollars meant nothing compared to the wealth of courage and love he was witnessing. He watched as Rosa's daughter continued her work without complaint, laughter mingling with toil, her scars invisible but her spirit unbreakable. And as emotion welled up within him, he understood that this moment was bigger than a chance encounter. It was a call to transform not only his perspective but the very way he engaged with life. If this child can face her day with unshakable hope, what excuse do I have to waste another moment on fear or indifference? He thought. The sun blazed overhead, revealing shadows of poverty, but also illuminating a heart that was stirring awake. And right here, right now, he vowed, everything will be different. As the camera lingers on that scene, the little girl's determined smile, the realization dawning in the millionaire's eyes. It's a reminder to every viewer that compassion can arrive in unexpected places. If this story moved you, if it shifted something inside you even a little bit, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and join a community committed to stories that matter, stories that remind us of what it means to be truly human. After the silence that followed the little girl's words, the millionaire felt as if he had been struck by a truth too profound to ignore. This world is bigger than my comfort zone, and there are lives unseen beneath the glitter of success. He crouched beside her, offering a humble hand, not as an authority, but as a fellow human being who had rediscovered empathy. The child looked up, eyes wide, not with fear but a gentle curiosity that pierced him deeper than any speech he had ever given in a boardroom full of applauding peers. From that instant, his life began to unfold on a trajectory no stock ticker could predict. He spent hours, days, weeks, not in meetings or on yachts, but in that neighborhood, learning the rhythms of lives carried by resilience and grace, catching glimpses of joy even in destitution. He saw teenagers using chalk and stones to teach younger children under a tree, heard mothers whisper lullabies while turning handfuls of rice into dinner, and he understood that wealth without service was poverty in disguise. This realization took root and blossomed into action. He arranged for Rosa's daughter to continue her schooling, not just for a semester, but through her entire academic journey. He renovated the tiny, cracked home they lived in and turned it into a safe, warm space where dreams would have room to breathe. He organized community centers where children could learn, play, and dare to hope. He built clinics where illnesses that once stalked the streets were now met with medicine and care. Every initiative he launched was not branded with his name or logo, but was proudly carried forward by the very families who inspired him a tribute not to his wealth but to their indomitable strength. Viewers, imagine for a moment that your life was that crossroads, the moment when a simple act of witnessing another's struggle sparked a total transformation. How would you respond? Would you turn away, or would you choose compassion even when it's inconvenient? That is the question this chapter asks you, and every day, ordinary people around the world answer it with acts of kindness that defy the odds. And so, as we draw this chapter to its closing beat, not the end, but a beginning, remember that stories like this are reminders that you have influence. You have power, and you can make a real difference. If this narrative stirred your heart, if you want more stories that ignite your spirit and move you to action, then please subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell, and be part of a journey where every subscriber is a witness to courage, hope, and transformation. Because when we share these stories, we don't just watch life, we change it. The true measure of transformation is not what happens in the moment, but what endures long after the moment has passed. And for the millionaire, the ripple of that single visit to a humble home grew into waves that reshaped countless destinies, including his own, because as months turned into years, he discovered that giving did not empty him but filled the hollow spaces he never knew existed. And the little girl who once scrubbed floors with tiny, tired hands now walked, each morning to school with books pressed to her chest and a future, unfolding before her like the sunrise, her laughter echoing through classrooms where curiosity replaced fear, while her mother Rosa stood taller, no longer bowed by exhaustion alone, but strengthened by dignity and opportunity. And the neighborhood itself began to breathe differently, as clean water flowed where there had once been scarcity, as clinics replaced hopeless waiting, as education ignited minds that had been told for generations to expect nothing. And the millionaire, once defined by wealth alone, now found his name whispered with gratitude rather than awe, respected not for what he owned but for what he uplifted. And there were nights when he sat alone, staring out at the city lights, realizing that every glowing window represented a story like the one he almost missed. Stories that exist all around us, waiting for someone to notice, someone to care, someone to act. And he understood that legacy is not built by monuments or numbers, but by lives forever altered by kindness. And the little girl, now older, stood one day before a crowd, her voice steady and bright as she spoke of dreams bigger than her beginnings. Dreams made possible because someone chose compassion over comfort. And in that moment, the millionaire felt a quiet triumph more powerful than any business victory, because he had learned the ultimate truth. When you change one life, you ignite a chain reaction of hope that can change the world. And as this story reaches you, the viewer, it asks something simple yet profound. What ripple will you create? Whose life might shift because you decided to care, to share, to believe? And if this story touched your heart, inspired your spirit, or reminded you of the good humanity is capable of, then become part of this mission by subscribing to the channel, because every subscription supports stories that awaken empathy, fuel hope, and remind us that even the smallest act can leave an eternal legacy. And together, through stories like these, we don't just watch change happen, we become the reason it does.